Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Krishna. Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakati Sadma Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakati Sadma Bando Moe Sarvadana Mate Bando Mo Sarvadana Mate Jahara Prashadhe Bhai E Bhavatoriya Jai Jahara Prasadhe Bhaiya Jai Krishna Prapti Hoi Jai Hoite 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 Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chitete Koriya Aikya Guru Mukha Vakya Koriya Aikya Harana Kori Ho Mane Asha Harana Di Ho Mane Asha Shri Guru Charane Rati Aise Uttarma Gatin Shri Guru Charane Rati Uttarma Gati Jai Prasade Pure Sarva Asha Jai Prasade Pure Sarva Asha Jai Prasade Pure Sarva Asha Jai Prasade चकुर्दान दिलजे जन्मे जन्मे प्रभु से चकुर्दान दिलजे जन्मे प्रभु से दिव्य ज्ञान हृदय प्रकाशित प्रेम भक्ति जाहार होते अविद्या विनाशा जाते प्रेम भक्ति जाहार अविद्या विनाशा जाते वेद ज्ञान जहारा चरित वेद ज्ञान जहारा चरित श्री गुरु कारुणा सिंधु अधम जनन बंधु कारुणा सिंधु अधम जनन बंधु लोकनाथ लोकेरा जीवाना लोकनाथ लोके जीवाना लोकनाथ लोकेरा जीवाना लोकेरा जीवाना हा प्रभु गुरु दया तेह मोरे परचया प्रभु गुरु दया तेह मोरे परचा प्रभु गुरु दया तेह मोरे परचाया प्रभु गुरु दया तेह मोरे परचाया एबेग्यास गुशुस्त्री भुवाना एबेग्यास गुशुस्त्री भुवाना गुशुस्त्री भुवाना प्रभुपाद पतित पवाना पतित पवाना प्रभुपाद पतित पवाना जय प्रभुपदा 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 जय प्रभुपदा 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 जय प्रभुपदा जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद प्रभुपाद नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रस्थाय भूतले श्रीमति भक्ति वेदांता स्वामी निति नामिने नमः विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रस्थाय भूतले श्रीमति भक्ति वे स्वामी निति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी प्रस्तात्यादेशतादिने सरस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Rama Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Radhanath Radha Radhanath Radhe. Jaya Radha Radhanath Radha Radhanath Radhe. Jaya Radhe Shyam Radhe Shyam Radhe Shyam Jaya Radhe Shyam Radhe Shyam Radhe Shyam Jaya Radhe. Jaya Krishna Balaram Krishna Balaram Krishna Balaram Jai Krishna Balaram. Jaya Krishna Balaram. Jaya Giri Govardhan Giri Govardhan Giri Govardhan. Jaya Giri Govardhan. Jaya Gaura Hari Gaura Hari Gaura Hari. Jaya Gaura Hari. Gaura Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Hari Bol 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 Hari Bol. Jai Jai Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Prabhu Jaya Guru Deva Guru Deva Guru Deva Jaya Guru Deva.
Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada ki, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki, Iskon Vatmana Guru Vrinda ki, Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki, Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Sivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki, Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gop Gopinath Sham Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan ki, Shri Shri Radha Radhanath ki, Shri Giri Govardhan ki, Shri Shri Gaur Hari ki, Shri Nadip Mayapur Dham ki, Shri Mathura Vrindavan Dham ki, Shri Jagannath Puri Dham ki, Ganga Mai ki, Yamuna Mai ki, Bhakti Devi ki, Tulasi Devi ki, Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki, Go Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Namaste Narasingaya Pralada Lada Dayine Hiranyakasipus Siddhatankadakalaye Dori Shingo Pada Dori Shingo Dori Shingo Pada Dori Shingo Yato Yato Yamida Dori Shingo Paheni Shingo Vidani Shingo Paheni Shingo Vidani Shingo Nara Shinga Vadim Sadana Prapare Abhagara Kavalabare Najam Adbhuta Singam Tadita Hiranyakasipus Tado Bingam Vishavadrita Tadahari Lupa Jajagadish Hare Jajagadish Hare Jajagadish Hare Keshavarita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadish Hare Jai Jagadish Hare Jai Jagadish Hare Jaya Dasingade, 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 Jaya Dasingade. Jaya Prahlad Baraj, Prahlad Baraj, Prahlad Baraj, Jaya Prahlad Baraj. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Sri Lakshmi Narasimha Bhagwan ki, Prahlad Maharaj ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Go Premanande.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Welcome to everybody to the Sunday Love Feast program. We're happy to see so many of you here today. And it's an honor to also host our guest speaker, who I will introduce to you in a short while. But I just want to make some announcements while we have your attention. So, one of the wings of the temple is the education wing called Bhaktivedanta College of Education and Culture. And for the last 2 years, because of the lockdown, we were not having classes together on the temple campus. Now it's opened again, and we are having classes here at the temple. So I just need to fetch this. The prospectus is available in the foyer when you leave, so you can please take a copy. There are some classes being held here at the temple itself. We have one starting on Mondays, Jai Satchidananda Prabhu. And then there's an online class as well with Ranga Devi Mataji. The college room is being used. We have one on Fridays. So there's all of these different programs are mentioned here. And all the courses begin on the 8th of this month. All right? So please grab a copy, enroll if you have not already been a student in Bhaktivedanta College. There are some courses there that you may not have done as well, like Nectar of Devotion and so on. You can read through that and enroll. It's just like an hour and a half of your time on these days, and they're done with great convenience to you as well. The Namahata, for those of you new to that idea, Namahata is a group, community group of devotees that meets regularly once a week and so on, run by different devotees. So this week, the Namahata group that has cooked for the Sunday Love Feast program, which you'll enjoy after this, is the Port Shepstone Namahata. So please, let's give them a round of applause. For those of you coming from out of town that way, or you have friends and relatives there, they meet at the Sri Ram Narayan Temple in Dairy Road every Friday. The coordinator of the Sunday Love Feast program, serve out, is Doyal Chaitanya Prabhu from the Prabhupada Prema Namahata in Lotus Park. So he's in charge, and he offers a service opportunity to all of you if you want to assist. He'll be at the serving point today. Find out who's Doyal Chaitanya Prabhu, or if you want his number, see me, I'll give it to you. We also have a little sad news in that our leader, ISKCON leader, His Holiness Bhakti Chaitanya Swami Maharaj, was the head of ISKCON South Africa, and just recently, until recently, the head of ISKCON worldwide, had undergone some surgery over the last 2 days, and it became a little complicated. So currently he is in ICU and under ventilation and all of that. So it's quite serious. So we'd like devotees to ask you to please add some japa chanting today. You normally chant so many rounds. Add 1 or 2 extra rounds for Maharaj's speedy recovery. And in all your kirtan today, in your prayers, please offer that. Maharaj is very essential to our movement. We really need him to be here with us for a long, long while more. Today, it is my privilege and honor, because whenever I go to Phoenix to give a class, Jalangi Mataji is always introducing me. So now I'm returning the favor. So we have, coming up on the 15th of May is Nishingadev's appearance day. So the topics are lending themselves to building up to that day. Unfortunately, we have a really bright sunny day today. So if it's possible to just close some of those windows, because it might help with the reflection up that's going up there on the ceiling and then coming across on the screen as well. It's a little better, but that's the moat reflecting off the ceiling. So it's my privilege and honor, as I said, to introduce her. Jalangi Mataji is a disciple of His Holiness Parthasarathy Das Goswami. For those who do not know him, a very senior devotee and disciple of Srila Prabhupada, who essentially made all of us into devotees in South Africa. Jalangi Mataji serves on the management of New Jagannath Puri Temple, and she also has many other services. One of the very important ones now is she's in charge of the InReach Devotee Care portfolio on our South African National Council. Very involved in the deity department and the festivals. Also, you know, she's a mother to many, many people in our movement. Her career, she's a high school educator and has very, very special interest in the youth and children. She also teaches in the Bhaktivedanta College of Education and Culture and is working on another initiative of educating children at the temple there. So it's my privilege and honor to introduce you, and I'm very, very happy that she has come. She's a very astute speaker, and she's going to speak to us on a topic, sounds quite avant-garde, internal combustion and anger management, lessons from the Nrsimha Leela. So let's give her a nice welcome to Sri Sri Radharadhanath Temple. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So thank you, Smriti Krishna Prabhu, for those kind words. But more than all that, I am your humble servant, and I hope today to do justice to this opportunity. I want to thank the organizing committee for giving me the opportunity to come back this way. I think what happens sometimes when you quite involved in deity service and management, we sort of get stuck in your part of the world. And it miss coming to Shri Shri Radharadhanath. Before we had our new Jagannath Puri temple, this would have been the one part of the week you looked forward to come to the Love Feast program. And I'm so happy to be here to share with you. I want to thank you for your attendance today. Is anybody coming for the first time? Wonderful, welcome. If you have any questions, anything that you want to know about the process that we follow, please feel free to ask. So you are most welcome today. We're going to sing Jai Radha Madhava first,
Hare
and then
Krishna.
we'll go into our class.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Janvalabha Girivaradhari Jaya Jaya Gopi Janvalabha Girivaradhari Yasodhanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yasodhanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari
So we'll recite a few invocation prayers before we begin. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshuranmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swa Padantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatha Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sarvadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namustate Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshware Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhayevacha Patitanam Pavanabhyo Vaishnabhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Everybody chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So, Hare Krishna once again, and welcome to today's Love Feast program. I don't normally need a mic, so if this is too loud, you can do some adjustment. It's the hazard of being a teacher in a classroom. I'm really excited to speak today. There's not much I know a lot about, but anger management is the one thing I think I do, because we routinely are all guilty of it. and it becomes important to recognize it. When I saw the topic, I was afraid at first. It was very close to home. And I thought, okay, Lord, there's the opportunity for me to be able to process this, not just for you, but for myself as well. What I like particularly about today's topic is how we take what is in Shastra and we make it practical. Sometimes the Shastric evidence is there. The philosophy is perfect. We as the practitioners are not. And it becomes important to put this practical philosophy, or rather the philosophy, into practical terms. So we as the practitioners can access what is in the philosophy through our practical dealings in our day-to-day lives. So today's class is going to be a little different than you're normally used to. And I hope at the end of it, the goal is that you go away not just understanding a little more about the Shingadev's Leela, but also understanding what it represents in our lives. I don't, at this point you normally offer the speaker a garland, and there isn't one offered to me. I think it's the etiquette to do so. Quite disappointing, actually. I've come a long way to give this class. And I'm wondering if it's because I come from NJP that you don't see it necessary to offer me a garland. It's difficult to make this journey, and I've been a busy person. So the least you can do, I expect, is that you offer me some recognition that I sit on the Vyasasan. In fact, it's embarrassing. I don't expect to be treated this way. Maybe I should leave. It's okay, devotees. I'm just kidding. I just wanted you to see something. What happened in that moment that I said all that to you just now? You saw a small thing and it grew. Tell me what happened in those few moments that I spoke with you. Disclaimer before I get a call from the GBC. None of those are the feelings in my heart. But I want you to recognize a few things that happened in that moment. How did that moment of anger develop? This is an interactive class, and like I said earlier on, I'm a teacher. This is my way of doing things, so you are going to be very much part of my class today. Where did I start?
There's a microphone here.
What did I want?
I can respond.
What did I want?
To start, you wanted recognition and some kind of honoring and prestige.
Yes, I wanted recognition. And after that, what did I want?
Sorry. You can use a mic.
I think you wanted to be recognized, and you got a little bit agitated or cross about it that nobody recognized you.
Yes.
And that is like a.
That
Am I
is-
right or wrong?
Yes, you're
Just
right,
tell that.
100%.
Thank
So I
you.
wanted recognition
Thank you.
for sitting here on this Vyasasan. Then I got a little angry because I was embarrassed. Rukmini?
it was a personal offense, but then you projected it to the institution. You know, like okay, maybe like obviously I wanted to die because I didn't arrange a garden, but like, but it could have been like an individual offense, or it could. But now it went into like this temple and that temple offense, like you know, like.
Yes. So it grew. It went from a simple, I wanted a moment of recognition. Well, first I started off with telling you what the etiquette is. Then I wanted the recognition. Then I got angry a little bit that you didn't give me the recognition. And then I got insulted. I started to bring in issues that don't have anything to do with you not offering me a garland on the Vyasasan. Oh, is it because I come from there? So, anger is such a volatile situation. My spiritual master says, and I always remember this, he said in a class, anger is poof. It's a moment in which you develop a thought, and that thought grows, and it grows, and it grows, and you just simply put yourself more and more and more into the zone of offense. Very often when you listen to classes, you hear this very nice statement. Anger is one letter away from danger. Think about it. Anger is one letter away from danger. So today we're going to look at how Hiranyakasipus in the pastime of the Nishinga Leela displays all the characteristics of the development of anger. And we're going to examine how from this pastime the solution to the anger is provided as well. So let's start by going a little bit back into history. I'm curious, is there anyone here who is not familiar with the pastimes of Lord Nishingadev? Our newcomers perhaps? So I'm going to tell a little story to you. So going back in history, it's described in the ancient texts that there were two brothers, Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakasipus. Now, these two belong to the class of asuras, or demons. And as is the Lord's pastime, they were cursed by the four Kumaras to appear in several of the Lord's Leelas and to be punished. So if you are familiar with some of the pastimes, they were Jaya and Vijaya. And then they were Jagai and Madai. And then they appear in the Nishinga Leela as Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakasipus. So these two demons were terrorizing the entire universe. And it was beyond the limits that the inhabitants of earth could take anymore. And headed by his older brother Hiranyaksha, Hiranyakasipus threatened the very existence of earth. Now, thankfully, the Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna, who promises to protect all of his devotees, descends. And from that spiritual realm, he sorts out these two miscreants. So he descends in his form as Lord Varaha, who is his boar incarnation. And there's a lovely pastime, but all of the Lord's pastimes are so amazing. Should we actually even go into them, I'll have you here for 6 hours. And then you're going to be angry with me because it'll be prasad after a long time. So, the Lord appears in that form of Varaha, and he sorts Hiranyaksha out in what is one of the most amazing celestial fights. These days you watch children play computer games, Call of Duty, and all of these video games, and they think, wow, what an amazing battle. But the battles that took place were not just transcendental, they were beyond amazing. And so the Lord defeats Hiranyaksha. Now, following the killing of his older brother, Hiranyakasipus was consumed with anger and vengeance. And he decided, I will show this Krishna a point. So he begins to terrorize the earth even more. Now he made a very bold accusation to Lord Krishna. And he said that you are being partial towards the devotees. So therefore, I make a firm resolve to kill you, because this is an injustice. Now, at this point, you're probably thinking, who does he think he is? And we're going to come to why Hiranyakashipu had this persona of wanting to take over the world shortly. Now, to undertake this destruction of the Supreme Lord, he decides to endure many sacrifices, long and enduring penances. You know, in one story that we often tell to the children we teach, and it always amazes them. He stood for an inordinate amount of time on the very tips of his toes. He went through many sufferings. Shishi Radha Radhanath Ki. All this to subjugate the entire universe to his rule. So, this attempt by Hiranyakashipu was basically to gain strength and power. And this was in the entire aim of pursuing the tormenting and the destruction of earth. Now, he went on with these different penances, and they became the goal, the focus of his life. You know, in the past time, it's described how he even left his pregnant wife Kayadu to continue with all of these penances because of his desperate need for the glory and the desperate need to be able to defeat the Supreme Lord. So he had one goal, that was to destroy the Supreme Lord and creation. However, this very ambition was his undoing. Now, generally speaking, you know, even though as conditioned souls we get angry, our anger is temporary. But with Hiranyakashipu, this anger, this enmity towards the Lord, remained in his heart up until the moment that he is killed. So, yes, we are, as conditioned souls, we're fortunate we are not demons. Although sometimes I think we are on the spectrum between the two. Hopefully we err on the side of being more devotee than demon. The nature of our anger is different. We have to understand that the anger Hiranyakashipu had was what was seething in his heart. He never forgave the Lord for having killed his brother. Now, I think we're a little bit better than the demons. Our anger is towards each other, and hopefully never towards the Supreme Lord. So Hiranyakashipu has this everlasting anger, but not just because of his false prestige, but also because he felt that he deserved the honor of being the one to punish the Supreme Lord. And we all know where that can end up. Only disaster. So while he is in pursuit of this higher power and strength, within his own family, a devotee of the Supreme Lord is born. The son of Hiranyakashipu, Prahlad Maharaj, grew up to be a pure devotee of the Supreme Lord because of his association with like-minded devotees of the Lord. And we'll speak about this, the importance of this a little later. Now, when Hiranyakashipu found out that his son is a devotee of his enemy, his anger knew no bounds. There's always a very subtle expectation that you will have loyalty to your parents. Okay? Think about the moment if you've ever said something contradictory to what your parents say. There's a great disappointment that they have. Now imagine Hiranyakashipu here. He's doing everything he can to destroy the Supreme Lord, and here's this 5-year-old boy who goes totally against that and worships the Supreme Lord. So he's so fully consumed by anger and vengeance, he's completely blinded to what he does to his 5-year-old son. So Hiranyakashipu orders the most atrocious torture to Prahlad Maharaj, with the actual attempt to kill him. Now, he was so focused on his anger that he was prepared to sacrifice his son for the sake of his ego. Now, in the introduction to Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 5, there's a very nice verse that captures this. It says, since Prahlad was so treacherous that he became a devotee of Vishnu who had killed his uncle Hiranyaksha, Hiranyakashipu asked his assistants to kill him. The assistants of Hiranyakashipu struck Prahlad with sharp weapons, threw him under the feet of elephants, subjected him to hellish conditions, threw him from a peak of mountain and tried to kill him in 1,000 other ways. But they were unsuccessful. Hiranyakashipu therefore became increasingly afraid of his son Prahlad Maharaj and arrested him. Now, Hiranyakashipu employed so many strategies to try and kill his son, both in direct and indirect ways. However, Prahlad Maharaj remained composed and focused on his worship of the Supreme Lord. So even when he was practically on the verge of death, Prahlad Maharaj relied entirely on the protection of the Lord. Now here, taking shelter of the Supreme Lord, there was no way in which Prahlad Maharaj was going to be harmed. And eventually that frustrates Hiranyakashipu to such a point that instead of him troubling Prahlad, he became troubled by the fact that he couldn't trouble Prahlad. So the anger that Hiranyakashipu showed was actually reflecting back onto himself. Right? There's a Buddhist proverb. It says that one cannot throw a flaming coal without burning oneself first. And we'll examine this idea a little bit later on. So, due to his inability to remain calm, Hiranyakashipu goes to the extent of finally understanding. And he says this in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 5, Text 47. He says, I can see this boy's strength is unlimited, for he has not feared any of my punishments. He appears immortal. Therefore, because of my enmity toward him, I shall die. So Hiranyakashipu understands, although he does not follow what he understands, that it is impossible for him to kill Prahlad Maharaj. But he doesn't connect the dots. He doesn't understand that the reason he's unable to kill Prahlad Maharaj is because of the protection of the Supreme Lord, towards whom he has enmity. Now, what we also notice, and I think is very interesting, is that Prahlad Maharaj is just a little boy, 5 years old. He's still a deep cause of fear for this king of the demons who has been terrorizing the world. So compare that 5-year-old to the king of the demonic world. Where do you think the power lay? The power for destruction lay in Hiranyakashipu. But the power of faith lay in Prahlad Maharaj. And that is ultimately what destroys Hiranyakashipu. It's Prahlad Maharaj's faith in the Supreme Lord that causes the Lord to descend in his half-man, half-lion form. And, Prahlad Maharaj, so interestingly, he doesn't even bear a malicious thought to his father for the fact that he behaves in this way. Rather, Prahlad Maharaj's focus is on pleasing the Supreme Lord. There's even a point where Prahlad Maharaj prays to the Supreme Lord to please deliver his father. And that prayer is what is honored in the appearance of Lord Nrsimhadev. So, the Srimad Bhagavatam tells us that Hiranyakasipus spent many sleepless nights trying to deal with the anxiety of the future. And this is an important word. Anger and anxiety are happy fellows together. Right? Eventually, after all that he tries to do, he reaches the limit and the Supreme Lord appears in the form of Nrsimhadev, the half-man, half-lion, to protect Prahlad Maharaj and to kill Hiranyakashipu. Now here, in the Leela, we experience the anger of the Supreme Lord, which introduces a new dimension to anger. So we have on the one hand the anger of Hiranyakashipu, and we have on the other hand the anger of Nrsimhadev. And we're going to examine both of those. So for those of us who are trying to be devotees of the Lord, the Supreme Lord gives us divine protection and shelter. And there are many instances in the Leelas, in the past times, that show us this. You know, our troubles may not be on the same level as the injustices that were put to Prahlad Maharaj. But what he went through and his unconditional surrender and trust in the Lord's protection is what we have to aspire for. So that was, in a nutshell, some of the glimpses into the past time, just to put us on the same page. We're now going to look at the Shastric evidence talking about anger. So, in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 3, verse 37, the Supreme Lord says, Kama esha krodha esha rajaguna samudbhava mahasano mahapapma vidhi enam ihi veram. Translated, the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, it is lust only, Arjuna, which is born of contact with the material mode of passion and later transformed into wrath, and which is the all-devouring, sinful enemy of the world. We'll read a little bit from Srila Prabhupada's purport. When a living entity comes in contact with the material creation, his eternal love for Krishna is transformed into lust in association with the mode of passion. Or, in other words, the sense of love of God becomes transformed into lust, as milk in contact with sour tamarind is transformed into yogurt. Then again, when lust is unsatisfied, it turns into wrath. Wrath is transformed into illusion, and illusion continues the material existence. Therefore, lust is the greatest enemy of the living entity. And it is lust only which induces the pure living entity to remain entangled in the material world. Wrath is the manifestation of the mode of ignorance. These modes exhibit themselves as being degraded by wrath and other colories. If, therefore, the mode of passion, instead of being degraded into the mode of ignorance, is elevated to the mode of goodness by the prescribed method of living and acting, then one can be saved from the degradation of wrath by spiritual attachment. So, Srila Prabhupada is reminding us here that lust is the cause of our downfall. As conditioned souls, we envied the Supreme Lord in his position. Hence, the arrangement that the Supreme Lord makes for us to come to this material world. And in this material world, the love we would have felt for the Supreme Lord is transformed into lust. Now, when we talk about lust, lust has many dimensions. But we can understand lust as being seeking to have material attachment. Now, material attachment is not just wanting physical things, wanting money. It includes wanting fame, wanting name, wanting prestige. So when we are in this material world, as conditioned souls, we already have envy within us. That's what brought us here. And as we continue to live in this material world, we have a choice to transform the lust either into anger or transform the lust into the real love that we are seeking. Now, anger itself is like a self-fueling fire. I like this analogy. Just like fire, anger has the capacity to be both beneficial and destructive. It needs to be contained and used wisely. And Srila Prabhupada is saying that to us in his purport. He says that anger is capable of being transformed when we realize how we act. And he speaks here about the modes of material nature. Now we know that there are 3 modes of material nature, and what are they? Goodness, passion, and ignorance. So, anger and lust, they exist within the mode of tamagun, ignorance. So we have to recognize these modes, which we are all subjected to at different points and different modes in our lives. So we have to understand how we are situated in these modes of passion and ignorance and transform that into the mode of goodness. So, anger is the enemy without the face. That's the expression used. Because it can cause unrepairable damage. And that damage is not just external, it is internal as well. Now, to subdue anger, as I just said, we need to operate at a higher mode of goodness. It's normal as human beings for us to get angry. I think if you didn't, something is wrong with you. But at the same time, what we get angry about and how we choose to be angry, those are important for us to assess. When one is in the mode of ignorance, then one remains vulnerable to getting angry every now and then. So when we are angry, we have to remind ourselves that we essentially are operating in the mode of ignorance. Now, the mind, and we know how dangerous the mind is, right? In Krishna consciousness, we always say the mind can be your best friend or your worst enemy. So the mind's constitutional position is inferior to intelligence. So, only so far as our mind can accept the authority and good advice of our intelligence is it able to remain calm. So we have to allow our intelligence to play a role in how we control the mind. Now, a mind that runs away can create havoc in your life. Anger, greed, and other unwanted elements fuel the disturbance of the mind. Now, we have to remember, by definition, anger is not always bad. There are some instances where anger is very important. But anger, which is a product of lust, that has disastrous consequences. Now, there are many instances where anger is important, is beneficial. From the pastimes of the Lord, can you think of 1 or 2 instances where anger was important? Yes, Arjuna angry to fight. One more. Mata.
When Hanuman used his anger for burning Lanka and like that.
Wonderful. So these instances of anger are seen as heroic because they are not motivated by lust. They are motivated to service the devotional aspect of the Supreme Lord's glory. So we have to understand the difference between anger that comes from lust and anger that is spiritual in its nature. Now, our original nature, even as conditioned souls, is love. It's not hatred. Therefore, we seek love in this world. But this material world is a perverted version of the spiritual world. Therefore, the material world is not about love. It is about lust, about wanting to have material attachment, about identifying with everything that is material. So the nature of this world is anti-love, and to be truly happy, we seek love. So this incompatibility between us seeking love and the world being anti-love is what creates the frustration within us. And that frustration can lead to anger. So, if we can cultivate and practice Krishna consciousness at a level of understanding what mode we are operating in and understanding what is the goal, then we can transcend these anti-love sentiments of lust and anger and greed. Now, we're going to see some other evidence from Shastra. In the Bhagavad Gita again. This is a very important verse because it talks to us about the development of anger. It says, from anger, complete delusion arises. From delusion, bewilderment of memory. When memory is bewildered, intelligence is lost. When intelligence is lost, one falls down again into the material pool. So, anger has this ability to drag us down. And I said earlier on that these three elements, lust, anger, and greed, they are the culprits that we have to be careful of. Now, when we teach in the college, we have to find some interesting ways to help children remember. So we use the acronym LAG, L-A-G, lust, anger, and greed. What does the word lag mean? We use it in a phrase. What do we say? You lag behind. That means you cannot keep up, that you are held back. So it's interesting that this acronym LAG represents lust, anger, and greed. Because Srila Prabhupada talks about how lust, anger, and greed will hold back the development of your spiritual life. Now, I'm going to do what is hopefully a sensible connection for you. We're going to take what we learnt about Hiranyakasipus. We're going to take what we learnt about lust, anger, and greed, and we're going to put them together. So, if we take lust, in Hiranyakasipus, how is lust represented? What did he want? He wanted immortality. What else? Yes, actually. It's interesting that Prabhu says gold. The name Hiranyakasipus. Hiranya means gold. So he was one who was clothed in gold. So very materially driven. What else did he want? he wanted to? He wanted to be the ruler of the universe, right? Over who did he want to be the ruler of the universe? The Supreme Lord. So, lust is shown in Hiranyakasipus in all of these elements. The fact that he did not get the recognition that he wanted, that he holds enmity in his heart, that he was attached to the prestige of being the ruler of the world. And when all of that didn't happen, what did it lead to? It leads to his anger. How do we see the elements of his anger? Yes. His frustration leads to his persecution of his son. So the unfulfilled lust, the fact that he's not able to get all of these things that he wants, develops into anger. And then he gives this anger face, he gives it form in the way in which he reacts to Prahlad Maharaj. Now, this delusion, and I'm using the word delusion very strongly here. What do we mean by the word delusion? Sorry, teacher of English, it's a common. Misleading, yes. Not being in proper realization of what the reality is. So the lust of Hiranyakashipu becomes a delusion that he can be greater than the Supreme Lord. So he forgets also his responsibility to Prahlad Maharaj. Rather, he transforms that lust of wanting to be the ruler into the anger that he shows to Prahlad Maharaj. Then, after the anger, in the verse that we just read, just go to that previous verse. What comes after anger and delusion? Bewilderment of memory. So he cannot identify his responsibility to Prahlad Maharaj. Then when memory is bewildered, what happens? Intelligence is lost. So how is the bewilderment of memory? We said he doesn't recognize his responsibility to Prahlad Maharaj, and he doesn't recognize the identity of the Supreme Lord. So when is the intelligence lost? What does he do? He challenges the Supreme Lord. And he challenges the power of the Supreme Lord. And then what happens? The Lord rips him apart, literally and figuratively. So what happens then? He falls down back into the material pool. But in his case, even in all of this that Hiranyakashipu has done, he still gets the divine blessing of being delivered by the Lord's hands. And that divine blessing comes from the prayers of Prahlad Maharaj. So we see how anger will lead to delusion, which leads to bewilderment of your memory. When memory is bewildered, you lose your intelligence. And when you lose your intelligence, then you are heading one way, and that is down. Back into that position of being in the material world and in the clutches of Maya. So, what can we learn further from this Leela about anger? I just wanted to bring in one more verse from the Bhagavad Gita, 16:21. And the Supreme Lord says there are 3 gates leading to this hell: lust, anger, and greed. Every sane man should give these up, for they lead to the degradation of the soul. Now I think that should be printed somewhere where we look at it every time. Because the Lord is making it very clear here that LAG, lust, anger, greed, will bring you down. will lead you to the degradation of your soul. So now I hope you have a clear idea of how anger is destructive. I think I need to keep you here maybe half an hour or so more. So Prashad will be delayed. Oh, wonderful. I know by your laughter that you understand the point I'm making. So I want to give you today a very few practical ways to deal with your anger. So, in the Nectar of Instruction, we have a lovely verse. Vacha Vegam, Manasa Vegam, Krodha Vegam. We're told we need to control the urges of the tongue, of the belly, of the mind, and we have to control anger, Krodh. Even the word sounds angry, Krodha Vegam, right? So, if we are looking to perfect this life we have, and the perfection of our life is to be able to perform devotional service and develop pure love for God, then we want to be controlling these elements. And anger, like we just understood, comes from lust. So one of the first things we're going to do is we're going to do what we call boss your thoughts. So you boss your thoughts in that you control what you think about. And I like this because I teach it to my students as part of our Right Living course. It says, be the boss of your negative thoughts. When your thoughts are too negative, tell them why they are wrong. Tell them another way to look at the problem. You are in charge of your thoughts. They are not in charge of you. Now, when we're controlling anger, there's a very nice analogy often given in the Shastra. If you throw a pebble into a body of water, it's going to create ripples, correct? So it disturbs the surface of the water. If you're looking into that pool of water, will you be able to see anything? No, because you cannot until those ripples subside. So anger is like that. When we are in a moment of anger, the ripples make it difficult to see what is the reality of the situation. So we need to control the anger in order to be calm. And if you think very carefully, one of our first instructions that we learn in the Shikshastikam is verse 3. Chanarapi suni chaina, tarorapi suhishnuna, amanena manadena kirtanya sada hari. We have to be humble, in a humble state of mind, thinking yourself lower than the straw, more tolerant than a tree. So if we can apply this verse to the moments in which we are feeling that enemy of the self coming, the anger developing, then we're going to be in a better position to get to understanding and de-escalating the anger. Now, harboring anger in the heart, it's so bad. In the Mahabharata, it speaks about word arrows. That words spoken can hurt and burn in the heart for as long as you are not in control of how you react to that. In the secular world, Maya Angelou, who's a very famous writer, says something very important. She says, someone will not remember what you said to them, but they will remember how you made them feel. And this is what anger is about. And the sad thing about anger is often there's remorse when it is too late. So in a moment you lash out. You don't see the situation clearly, the ripples in the water. And later on, when you have that time to think about what you have done, which hopefully you do, then the remorse actually burns in the heart a little more. So anger, and this is the strangest thing, anger anger sometimes is meant to hurt the other person, but it's actually hurting you. Hence the title of our presentation today, Internal Combustion. Anger is destroying you. Just like it is said, forgiveness is not for the other person, it is for your heart. So when you have anger, it becomes difficult to see the situation as it is. And if we are applying Chanav Dipi Suni Chena, we shouldn't come to the point of being angry. I want to give you a very practical example. You know, it's Prashadam time, and I think I'm hungry because I'm talking about Prashadam a lot here. And we are in the queue, and that day is Rasagullas, which I think are everybody's favorite, or maybe it's butter paneer. And you get to the line and you say to the server, please, can I have one more? And the server says to you, sorry Mataji, we got strict instructions, we can only serve you one. So I want you to think about what goes through your mind in that moment. What goes through your mind? You first are upset because you asked for something. I'm a devotee, I came to the program. I deserve to have 2 rasgullas because I really like it. There are so many in the pot, but still you're not giving it to me. And then what's the next thought? You don't want to serve it to me because you want to keep it for yourself. So, you know, in that moment, and I'm glad we are all laughing, it means we are all guilty at some point or the other of it. In that moment, it becomes so easy to lose control of that anger. And in that moment, what we're doing is causing Vaishnava prad. The devotee who is serving is following the instructions. But because you feel entitled, and it's worse if the person is someone you know, then you're going to be like, but you know me, you know? Or we go, I saw you gave that devotee 2, but you don't want to give me 2. I can see what's happening here. In that moment, the anger, that lust for the recognition, for wanting more, is transformed into the anger. And lust and anger and greed are happy fellows. They exist in the same place. And so we get offensive. And even if the offense is in your mind, it is still an offense. So that anger that we are showing to someone else is first killing me. And I think if we can understand that anger is so destructive to you, even though you intend it to be destructive to someone else. So Vaishnava prad, that is there. It doesn't matter whether you are moaning about the rasgulla in the prasad line, or you are blaspheming the highest authority. Both carry consequence. So it should become very clear to us that controlling our anger is good for ourselves before it is good for anyone else. Now, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, it says, one should therefore carefully guard against committing Vaishnava prad or offenses at the lotus feet of a Vaishnava.